Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Autumn 22 product release Roundup webinar. Thank you for joining today. We're going to give it a 30 seconds or a minute or so to let everyone get in here, and then we'll get started with today's presentation. All right, we'll give it 10 more seconds, then we'll get started. Today's show. Hope you're all excited to see some of the cool new releases coming to Ziflow or those that have already been released. I think we could probably get started. I'm Mike Rymack. I'm a sales engineer here at Ziflow. I may have had the pleasure of meeting some of you at some point so far. Today's webinar is our Autumn 2022 product release roundup. We'll be showcasing how some of these new releases within Ziflow can help accelerate your creative workflow. Before we get started, though, just some quick housekeeping notes. First of all attendees are muted. I think it'd be a little chaotic if we let you all speak whenever you want. But that being said, you do have a voice. Submit your questions through the Q&A. Nick is going to be monitoring that as we go. We'll be answering some questions as we go. And for some of those really thought-provoking ones, we'll save it for a Q&A session later on where Alex and I will be tackling those. Additionally, a recording of this will be sent out afterwards. So if you want to rewatch something, if you saw something you think your colleague would be really interested in, we will be sending that recording out for you to share with really whomever you would think would want to see it. Today's agenda, we're going to cover some of the new features that have been brought to Ziflow. And it's really important to note that a lot of these features are things and requests that have come directly from people like yourself. We love hearing feedback from our clients, from prospective new customers about what they think is really important and what could improve our platform. So as we go through some of this, we'll see how these features maybe have come from some of our clients and why they've made it into the platform. What we'll be covering is first electronic signatures. We'll then go into proof subscriptions, some enhancements to the proof viewer, specifically within the video review process, as well as how we can review multiple rich media assets within one batch review proof. And then finally, we'll close it out with Alex showcasing a pretty cool setup we've got with Zapier now in terms of a new integration we're launching with them to continue to allow you to connect to all the different tools that you're using. We'll close it off with just a quick roundup video of everything we've seen today, and then again, that Q&A session. So as you do have thoughts, you have questions, please add them to that chat, and we'll be answering them throughout today's presentation. So I kind of covered myself already. I'm a sales engineer here at Ziflow. We're joined by Alex Richard, who is the Director of Client Services. I'm sure many of you have gotten the chance to speak with him so far, as well as Nick, who has helped set up today's webinar. So anything to add from you guys before we jump into the demonstration today?
Just looking forward to showing off what we have.
There we go. There we go. That's what I like to hear. So we'll go ahead and get started. I think that's where we'll launch into here. I'll close out of this. And let's jump into Ziflow. So as mentioned, we're going to cover 5 different topics that have been released from the platform today. E-signatures, proof subscriptions, enhancements to the proof viewer within video, as well as HTML5 rich media, and then that Zapier integration. We're going to start off with electronic signatures. Exceptional creative sometimes requires more than just the right color palette or tagline. For those creative teams in highly regulated industries, meeting regulatory standards for maintaining creative assets is just as important as producing that high quality work itself. Because electronic signatures can form the cornerstone of compliance for those industries, specifically ones that are regulated by the FDA's 21 CFR Part 11 requirement, which obligates companies to prove that their digital records are trustworthy, reliable, and equivalent to paper records and physical handwritten signatures. Industries like healthcare and healthcare marketing, medical device manufacturing, food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, dietary supplements, and so much more need to make sure that they're compliant within that 21 CFR Part 11 ruling. So to help, we've introduced electronic signatures, a new feature within Ziflow that does enable your creative team to demonstrate compliance with those FDA record-keeping requirements. And it's really easy to do so. So I've got this electronic signatures proof queued up. As I expand this out, One thing I want to point out here at the bottom in my settings is that the electronic signatures box here has been ticked. What that means is when I send this off for review, my reviewers will be prompted to confirm and sign rather than just accept or approve when they go ahead and make their decision. So what does that look like? Here I've got this proof. Mike Rymack here, handsome fellow, has been required to sign off on this. As I click into this proof, I of course can provide any feedback I need to. I can add any comments, but I think this looks great. I'm ready to go ahead and make my decision and mark this as approved. I am then prompted to sign this electronically. Now, because I've already logged in, it's auto-filled this for me, which is really convenient. If it's a new reviewer, they can just go ahead and add this information in. And then when I confirm and sign, this will update the information for us within the proof itself. So let's go back and look and see what that looks like. First of all, I see it's been approved. And I've got this new little image here, a little zigzag sign off that says this has been electronically signed. As we scroll down to our activity log, we see that the proof has been, let me update this really quick. We see that the stage 1 decision calculation has been approved. I made a decision, it was approved and electronically signed. So we've got that confirmation there, as well as one that was signed off. And then finally, for those record keeping needs, we can go ahead and export this to a PDF. What this will do is generate a PDF of all the comments, all the signatures, everything like that. And then when I click into this and scroll down a little bit, what we see, Mike Rymack approved this asset on December 14th at 9:36 Pacific time. For those of you on the West Coast, 12:36 Eastern time, wherever you're reflecting that. All of this is meant to help enable those in the industries that require that extra step of regulation, that need to demonstrate that compliance with the FDA record keeping requirements to help make your life easier and help with this creative approval process. Now, another way we've improved the platform is within proof signatures or proof subscriptions. Proof subscriptions enable on a proof level reviewers to add themselves to a proof. There may be times where we need to crowdsource feedback from a team. Maybe we're sending a proof off to our client. We don't know who exactly is going to ultimately sign off on it or who needs to provide feedback as well. When we enable proof subscriptions, we can enable that ability to crowdsource that feedback. This is another setting within the proof itself. As I click in here and I expand upon this, I see I've got a 2-stage workflow, an internal, external flow. I've already approved it. Now it's going off to an external review, but we don't know who needs to collect or provide this feedback. Again, in these settings, I see I've got this allow proof subscriptions box checked. There are some options we have around here with the proof subscriptions. I can have permissions be to comment, or I can have them to comment and make a decision. And I can also choose which stage they're added to, whether it is that first stage, last stage, or maybe a new subscriber stage with a specific name. Now, what happens when I go ahead and take this public link, I email it off to maybe my contact that I'm going to be leading the crowdsourcing efforts or my contact at the client's office. They'll take that link, they'll paste it into their browser, or they'll click it in the email, and the proof viewer will be brought up for them. Now, again, I can start providing feedback and start marking it up. And when I add a comment, maybe I think this helmet should be purple. Let's change the helmet to purple. And I post it. I will just be prompted to give my identity. So I'll say I'm Mike.Rymack plus test at Ziflow.com, and I'll continue. I'll add my name or validate the email. We do have 2-factor authentication that can be turned on. That's just to make sure that, hey, I am who I say I am. So my verification code has come through to my email. And now I, as the proof subscriber, am able to start adding comments and providing feedback. So we'll see this comment list grow. In this case, I'm not a decision maker, so all I have to do is just say my review is complete. And then when we click back into this proof subscription, what we see, there's that new email address added as a reviewer in the external stage. Again, Our activity log is going to update to reflect this. It'll say, hey, Mike Rymack opened the proof. He subscribed and started making comments as well. So we've covered the first two stages. We've covered proof electronic signatures, proof subscription to crowdsource feedback. The last thing I'm going to jump into before we hand things off to Alex is the enhancements to the proof viewer in terms of video review. Again, as we are going through this, if you do have questions, maybe even just thoughts you want to share, throw it in that Q&A section. So as I click into a video for review, some of you may be very familiar with this process already. Historically, Ziflow has been able to allow you to add comments, to mark up an asset, a video, to tag it to an exact or a time code within there as well. We very recently released some enhancements to this to make it easier for you to provide feedback on the assets itself. So I click a little bit later in here. Maybe I want to get a closer look at what we're reviewing. I can go ahead and do first a marquee zoom. This is something you may be familiar with on static images like PDFs. And what that does is it zooms in on the frame here itself for me to provide additional context. Maybe I'm looking at this and thinking, you know, hey, this backpack's the wrong color, or we need to adjust something. I can mark that up, add that comment, and then we'll see that within here. Additionally, we've got a measurement area now. This is something that's been out for a little while, but if we do need to measure something out on a pixel by pixel basis or in millimeters or inches, we've got that option to get any information that's relevant in terms of marking up and reviewing this asset within the context of the proof viewer. And then finally, when we are adding comments, the thumbnail that we see here can be really important for what we're marking up and reviewing. You may also be familiar with when we add comments, we've got the option to tag them to a time code, a frame, as well as a period of time within the clip itself. By holding shift now, I can get a precision view at this video itself. So I can go to the exact point in time where I want this clip to be marked up on both ends. This is going to make things easier for our designers, our editors later down the road. So when they are reviewing our feedback, reviewing the changes we've requested, they can go to the exact point in time that we've added that feedback to. Again, these are all things that have come through from our clients, from our prospective clients, as changes that they thought may be necessary and might be helpful to other people. And that's what we're seeing here today. So with that, I'll jump back into our dashboard. I'm going to hand things off to Alex to cover the last two pieces of the new product release. And again, share questions, thoughts, comments as we're going.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Great job. So like Mike said, what I'm going to take you guys through today is looking at merged HTML5 rich media assets and our new beta application we have, or beta app for Zapier that's available. So first, taking a look at merging our HTML5 rich media assets. If you remember back, I believe it was in the spring at this point when we had our last product release, or the spring product release, rather. There was one or two prior in between here and there. We introduced batch review. Batch review gave creative teams the ability to add all elements of their campaign, whether it was static, HTML5 rich media, video, live website review, all part of one review. We've taken that a step further and added the ability to merge those rich media components into one review and into one screen and one viewer. So this will help you monitor your messaging and your creative consistency across all of your rich media assets. So if I take a look over at a proof I have already created. In this particular campaign, I have 3 of pretty much the exact same rich media banners that are going to be released across many different areas, whether it's through our website or whether it's through a partner website or wherever they may live on the internet. So if I wanted to, again, be able to manage that message and the creative consistency across all, now whenever I go to make a comment, I can indicate something across all of these assets. So if I wanted to say, let's change this button color, now instead of having to navigate through each individual of these assets and make this comment, I can now say, let's change the button color. And then when I post that comment, now we'll see it in the comment thread as part of all 3 of these assets. Again, this is really important for those that are going to have multiple rich media elements to their campaign across a lot of different areas and need to be able to see those comments across all of their rich media assets. So taking that again into that next step, not only being able to bring all of your elements of the campaign into one place, but now giving the visual you need to maintain that creative consistency across all of your rich media content. So pretty cool stuff there. Next, we'll take a look at what our Zapier integration can do. So the power of Ziflow Connect can really make sure that your teams are not only integrated, but also automated in their process that they're doing. The addition to the Zapier application gives you not only the ability to do simple actions like create new proof or create a folder from an outside application, but you can also stretch the legs of how you can review and have your creative feedback. And I see our product teams on the call, so give credit where credit is due. I had Andre help me build a pretty cool little display of what you can really do and how you can stretch the legs on this new integration. So what we're going to look at is when I make a comment on this proof, Zapier's going to pick up that comment was made, and then it's going to recognize that it's in English, and then it's going to translate that into Spanish and add that as a reply to the parent comment that I made. So without further ado, this is pretty cool. It's a new toy I got to play with. And I love those of you that have met me and worked with me on calls know that I love new toys. So I'm just going to say, change, want to try something new, to want to try something different. And then obviously we need to make sure everything's spelled right. So I'll go ahead and change that. And now when I go ahead and post this comment, like I said, Zapier is going to pick up that this comment has been made. It's going to recognize that it's in English, then translate it into Spanish, and then add it as a reply to my comment. So we have the translation right clear as day from the Spanish translator. So this is utilizing Zapier's language recognition bot. So Zap. So there's additional functionality that you can do outside of the original. So the reason why I thought this would be fun to show, not only because it's super cool, but also to kind of maybe get you thinking about the ways you can stretch that. Again, with Ziflow Connect, it has a lot of inherent value. This enhances that and takes it really to the next level. So pretty cool stuff. And with that, I think we're ready to go over to our Roundup video. So Mike, I'll turn everything over to them. But before, just want to remind you, this is a good opportunity to have some questions flowing in. We have a lot of good questions in the hopper that we'll answer in a few minutes, but please keep those questions coming. So with that, Mike, let's take a look at the Roundup video.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's always great to see. It's been exciting to hear you talk about this and now to see it showcased as well. Kind of just the tip of the iceberg of what could be done. Ziflow Connect is already so powerful in what we can integrate with and what we can set up. And now we're just expanding upon that even more. So again, yeah, add questions, add thoughts, comments as you're looking at this and thinking, wow, could I do this? Or wow, what else could be done? So we'll jump into this quick video here, which does a really good roundup of everything that we've seen. Again, this is something that'll be posted later on as well. So if you want to share this with a colleague that you think, hey, Susie down the hall uses Ziflow all the time, she'll be really excited about this. We'll make sure that you can get this in your hands.
Our latest release roundup is all about slashing review times, meeting compliance standards, and integrating even deeper into your tech stack. Let's dive in. Meeting regulatory standards on creative assets is just as important as producing quality creative work. Ziflow's new electronic signatures feature helps teams easily demonstrate compliance with the FDA's 21 CFR Part 11 record-keeping requirements. Teams can now stipulate that review and approval decisions must contain an electronic signature in Ziflow. And they can view a full list of electronically signed assets in the Proof Activity Log for complete visibility and auditing. Creatives can ensure that every reviewer has access to the right content without the extra step of creating an individual user profile with our new Proof subscription feature. Ziflow users can now share proofs for review, and with one click, outside reviewers can subscribe to the proof to remain up to date. As long as your reviewer has the public link to the proof, they can stay connected to that project and keep up with any changes or approvals. And two-factor authentication helps ensure that subscribers to your proof are who they say they are. Enhancements to Ziflow's viewer give creative collaborators and stakeholders more ways to navigate, annotate, and participate in the design process. Our video capabilities have been improved to allow for more detailed feedback, with the ability to zoom into the frame to identify smaller elements, precision scrubbing for frame-by-frame inspection, and comments that can span an entire section within a video, as opposed to a single moment in time. You can now combine multiple rich media elements into one asset within a proof, perfect for gathering feedback about a single project with similar design but spread across a wide range of sizes and formats. A creative process should be collaborative, so we've made sharing proofs with your reviewers even easier. The share button at the top of the viewer bar has been updated to make it far simpler to share proofs with stakeholders and colleagues. Finally, we're excited to announce our integration with Zapier, an industry leader in no-code automation. The power of Zapier lets you use nearly any action in thousands of other business applications as a trigger to launch a workflow in Ziflow, and vice versa. Have you ever wondered if a given tool in your tech stack could connect to your creative workflow? Wonder no more with the addition of Zapier to Ziflow's extensive list of software integrations. The past few months have been all about improving the feedback experience for creative teams, and we can't wait to show you what we're working on next.
Awesome. Well, with that, can jump into the last part of this. Nick, I know there's some questions were coming in. What have you got for us?
Yeah, so let's jump back to electronic signatures. We had a few based on that. So the first one is, will the e-signature autofill if you are a guest reviewer?
Yeah, so good question. So at this time, because of the requirements around e-signatures, you are required to be a reviewer, an internal reviewer for that to be enabled. So with e-signatures, we see that being probably primarily used for internal review within the legal, compliance, and marketing management teams. As well as really anyone else who does, but that does require you to be an internal reviewer within the platform for an e-signature to be collected. I mean, Alex, I don't know if you have anything to expand upon on that.
Yeah, no expansion. Just to clarify just a little bit, you need to be a licensed user on a proof in order to use e-signatures currently. So right now, guest reviewers won't be able to utilize that feature. May be available in a future state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I think the next one, also about e-signatures, if you have a multi-step workflow, can you define which approval step has electronic signatures? As an example, step 1, marketing approves, does not need electronic signature, but step 2, compliance does need a signature.
Yeah, so with that, any reviewer on the proof with decision permissions will be required to provide an e-signature. So currently it is extended to everyone in any stage that has decision permissions. So right now it isn't, you can't limit it to say, hey, only a particular stage has the ability to, or is required to do the e-signatures. It's anyone with decision permissions.
Okay. Perfect. All right, now we are going to jump over to Zapier. So the first question is Zapier out of the box feature, or is Ziflow add in a third-party extension?
So currently you can, if I'm understanding the question correctly, if you were to go to Zapier right now, you would be able to download the Ziflow app in beta. So you don't need an invitation to it in its beta form. You can utilize it now. And if that isn't exactly what you were asking, Joanne, please submit another refining question just to make sure I get it correct.
Okay. Here's one that's a little technical. I think it might be on Zapier's side, but let's see if you know the answer. Can Zapier translate comments into simplified Chinese, or are there limited languages that it can be translated that can use?
Yeah, so as I was looking over at my other screen a few minutes ago while we were watching the video, I was checking on that question, and the answer is yes, it does do Chinese simplified. It is using, with the example I showed you, is using a Zapier Zap itself. So it's limited to what they have, but scrolling through the languages, it's pretty robust. So it would be limited to Zapier's capabilities on what they can translate. Simplified Chinese is part of that.
Okay. And then right now, we only have one more question, but I want to press everyone. If you have anything at all you guys want to ask, just send it in right now. Okay, the last one is not necessarily over one of the features we went over, but is there a way to not have the proof viewer owner added every time you append a workflow?
The proof owner does need to be on any workflow on some stage. This might be a little bit, Craig, a question that's a little bit more in the weeds. So maybe reach out to us at customer.success@ziflow.com and just tag me in the email with this question. And then maybe we can kind of dig into that a little bit more on the nuance of it. So short answer is it does not have to be, but you would just want to make sure you're setting up the appended workflow properly so that it operates the way you're expecting. So it might be something for us to take a look at offline, Craig.
Okay. Okay. I think Craig also followed up with what is your name? I think he's going to follow up with you directly.
My name's Alex, and as far as things coming into, again, the email address customer.success@ziflow.com, just include my first name, Alex. Don't worry about my last name, and I'll know to pick it up, and I'll let those monitoring the inbox to route that to me when it comes in.
Okay, perfect. All right, back to Zapier. Could you use the Zapier integration to scan the text of a proof for keywords or phrases that are not allowed? For example, in financial services, you shouldn't use the phrase guaranteed return. Could Zapier scan the phrase to prompt the reviewer? That's a really cool use case.
It is a really cool use case, and one I'm definitely going to have to get back to you on. I'm just now scratching the surface of Zapier and really understanding that tool and becoming an expert. So this is a great one for me to investigate. So I'll take this as a takeaway to follow up with you, Stephen, so we can make sure I answer correctly. But it would be answered best by Zapier, and if that Zap is available in their tool stack. But it's a super good question and a really interesting use case. So I'll take that offline and definitely follow up with you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in at this point. So I just want to say thank you everyone who attended this. Thank you all for your questions. We were really happy that you could come here. We're super proud of all the new features that we released. We hope we can see you in our next roundup, in our winter roundup. If you have any questions or want to dig into any more of these features we covered, please get in contact with your Ziflow rep. If you're not sure who that is or not sure where to go to, you can just email anything at all to support@ziflow.com. Once again, thanks everyone for attending.
Thanks everyone.